I see kind of the little light cords connecting all of us. So it's like nothing happens in a vacuum, that we're all connected, that we're all filled with spirit, we're all filled with life. And that's the way, shamans perceive that. And then when we start
Mhm.
looking at like medical models, the shaman's view of illness is very different too.
Kelly Nealon is joining us today. 22 years ago, she stepped away from her six-figure career to learn and apply non-traditional healing methods. Today, this shaman and hypnotist has a thriving business at Lasting Light Wellness Center located in Columbia, Maryland, making a real difference doing what she has always been meant to do. This is Karma Hub, exploring vibrational healing, wellness, and the practitioners that offer it.
I always say I'm the most unlikely shaman. So I was like, if you look at everything, how I grew up, my background, everything, like I shouldn't be doing this, but every past life regression I've ever done, I come back to being a healer. Different modalities, different places in the world, different countries, but like it doesn't matter where I end up here.
And Kelly, can you tell me some of your certifications and your background? And then ultimately,
Mhm.
I'd love to learn how you ended up going down this rabbit hole, down this path.
Okay. Well, maybe it'd be easier to start with the rabbit hole. So I always say
Okay.
I grew up very traditionally. Did the I guess quote unquote normal thing. Went to college, got a master's degree, I was a stockbroker, I worked in IT.
Wow.
So I kind of had this very traditional type of career and life. And then I had my own health healing crisis. And I went to do the thing. I bought the dummies book. I went to the top doctor in the country, and they basically had almost nothing for me. And I was like, well, wait a minute here. Like, I'm not just going to roll over and you've laid out how my life is going to go. I'm not going to do that. I'm not buying into this. So when the top doctor sent me home and went, okay, well, we'll call you when they come up with the new drug. And I was like, what? Like, what's that going to be like 2 decades from now? I was like, I don't think so. So I started researching all types of alternative types of health things. So that led me into yoga and into Reiki. So I started working with that, and I was able to find healing for myself. And I was like, people have to know about this. So, I did the next logical thing, and I quit my six-figure corner office job, and I
Right.
went into yoga and energy healing for full time. And everyone thought I was having an early midlife crisis. So that's okay. And I kind of started there, and I added other modalities along the way. So in addition to all the titles I hold for different types of yoga that I teach and do 8 different types of Reiki. And then with shamanism, I've studied with the Cherokee here in the US. And then I hold all of my higher titles from the Peruvian lineage, from the Andean lineage. So, and then in addition to that, I'm also a reflexologist and aromatherapist, and I do
Wow.
several other types of energy healing modalities as well. So it kind of just came full circle for me that then over the last 22 years, this has essentially just become my life and my career. But I definitely did not see that coming, especially when I was in grad school. So it was a shock to everyone involved, but it's been the most beautiful path. And I found healing for myself, healing for others, and just discovered gifts that were latent and I didn't even know that they were there. So it's been an incredibly powerful journey.
Wow. I know of more and more people that are studying shamanistic practices. It's a very um, intriguing practice, but you are actually considered a shaman. Can you tell me what makes a shaman? Like, what is a shaman, and what is it not?
Okay. So I technically the word comes from the Tungus tribe, and shaman means one who can see in the dark, or one can communicate with spirit. So I would say the difference between, and I fully embrace people, utilizing the shamanic practices that are out there. Maybe they got introduced from a friend, or they know somebody who's Native American, or somebody who practices shamanism. And all of those things are fantastic. And I think that right now we're really seeing a calling back to the earth energy and things in ways of the past, that people are being called for that kind of grounding. So I fully support that and am very encouraged by that as well. So what I've done personally, and I'll say that too, there's shamanic practice throughout the entire world. A lot of it has very much of the same kernels, but it may be practiced differently. So as far as becoming a shaman, what is a shaman? I'm just going to speak from my Andean tradition, since that's what I hold the high title in. It may be slightly different for other people who are in other forms of shamanism. So for me, I had to partake in I studied for many years, and I created what was called a mesa. So Peruvians, hey, we're heavy packers. So I've got a big bundle here of healing stones and a healing bundle, where maybe in some US Native American tribes, you may see them with like a smaller satchel of like energy medicine things with them, and they practice a little differently than us. We kind of have a big suitcase. So this is called our mesa. Some people call it misa. I've heard it called quipus. It's different people have different names for it, but basically it holds the essence of a bunch of our healing tools. And this was created by taking a class where I went and journeyed and did different practices in each of the 4 directions: the north, the south, the east, the west, and also connecting above to the skies and below to Pachamama, the earth energy. And I went there and I healed my own wounds. You have to heal yourself before you can become a healer for others. So I went into those directions and took what was, I guess you would say, something negative or something that needed to be healed, and transform them and put that energy of transformation into different crystals and different sacred objects that are contained within my mesa bundle. So that was my initial initiation into shamanism, to create my bundle and be able to then heal from that. And then from there, I did several more years of studies with the shamans to become more proficient at doing various different kinds of ceremonies. And then not many people are familiar with the title, but technically I'm a Pampa Messiah Ook, which is a fancy name for a earth-based Pachamama shaman of a certain level. So I'm very much into bringing unity to the community, and as well as healing individuals.
So why are so many people seeking out shamans these days?
I think because a lot of times, like we've seen, I mean, I have nothing against modern medicine, but you can give the same medicine or the same treatment to 2 people who have, genetically or biologically looking like the same condition or the same situation. Some people are cured and some people aren't. Even the doctors don't have an explanation for why that is the case. And we find that a lot of times there are emotional or spiritual or other underpinnings to things that are keeping disease locked within the body, or it's the mind-body connection. And I think right now we're getting to this place where a lot of people are becoming more aware that maybe there's a little bit more out there than they were maybe taught when they were a small child, or they've had a personal experience. A lot of people I've seen don't even have somebody to talk about if they have something, shall we say, interesting happen to them along the way. And everybody's just keeping it down, like, oh, I had a prophetic dream, or I had a feeling, or I had a knowing. And we're all like keeping all of these secrets inside. And then everybody comes and sees me. I was like, okay, safe zone. Can I tell you what happened? What did it mean? What do you think? And, all of these type of things. So I think it's this underground movement that's gaining steam as more people are feeling more open about discussing things that are happening, and they're actually looking for a more balanced way to treat themselves. I mean, if you look at especially the US society, we've sort of become the society of proud to say we worked ourselves to death. Like we don't need a break. We don't need this. And we aren't machines. We're not robots. And you see people starting to break down. I mean, how many years can you work? 60, 80 hours under this full pressure? You can't. I mean, things start breaking down. Your body won. And if you don't have your body, that's your vehicle getting you everywhere. So I think people are looking for solutions for their mind, their body, and their spirit. They're really looking at these things coming together because they're saying, okay, this traditional or modern way of living, it's not working for me. I'm not happy. I mean, if you ask how many people, if they feel like they have connection, just do you have connection in your life? It's just getting to be, I love Zoom and we're on Zoom here, but, some entire people's lives are on Zoom. They don't even have physical contact. Like they can't even tell you the last time they were hugged or someone held their hand, or that they felt that they were connected to spirit or energy. So I think it's from that disconnection too, that a lot of people are seeking even just shamanic practices in general. And then those that have some serious or not so serious health concerns are also looking for an alternative way that they can address those as well.
You hit on it a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about um, shaman's view of the world and
Mhm.
energy and how that relates to an individual?
So the shamans believe that everything in the world is connected. So it's just kind of like this giant illusion that we're by ourselves and I can do something in a bubble and it's not going to have any effect. It's not going to ripple out or anything like that. So I can say from being in different, shamanic states where I see kind of the little light cords connecting all of us. So it's like nothing happens in a vacuum, that we're all connected, that we're all filled with spirit. We're all filled with life. And that's the way, shamans perceive that. And then when we start
Mhm.
looking at like medical models, the shaman's view of illness is very different too than just say commercial, regular traditional medicine. So for instance, shamans look for, has there been a loss of power in your life? Sometimes just taking, losing something could even be a job. Like for some people, losing a job is an inconvenience. Of course, you don't have a job, you got to find another one. For somebody else, their entire definition of themselves may be wrapped up in that job or
Right.
that position. So for them, it's just devastating. It completely takes them out. So sometimes, like I would call that a loss of power for that person. So that's something that we would look at doing. So for if someone has a loss of power, typically I would do like a shamanic journey for them. I would figure out, what is happening and what's going on with that. And then depending upon how serious that loss of power is or what else is involved, sometimes we have what we call kind of like a splintering of the soul essence. So it's not like, oh, we lost a piece of our soul. It's just that maybe because we had such a fright or something so traumatic happens, sort of like all the little pieces, like some of them start wandering off and they're not communicating with the whole soul, and the soul needs to be reintegrated. So for something like that, we would do a soul retrieval ceremony, which I don't really love the name, but that's just what everyone knows it by here. So for a soul retrieval, it's simply an integration ceremony. So I'm able to go into a shamanic trance and bring back spiritual gifts that will help heal and reintegrate those elements of the soul that kind of went wandering off. And then the last one would be if there's some type of like attachment or negative energy or an energy blockage in the body that's causing things not to be able to flow in the right place. And that can also cause illness. So that's kind of how we look. We go like, okay, what's going on with this person? Why is there not this flow? Because your body wants to be in a state of homeostasis. Like it wants to come back to healing. So we just look in and try to figure out like, well, what's stopping that? What's preventing that? And we try to bring wholeness and balance to that.
So, what would you refer to as a attachment?
It could be depending upon what you're comfortable with in your beliefs. I mean, you
Hmm.
could have a deceased loved one hanging or deceased spirit hanging on to you. You could have something more nefarious that is, non-human attachment that you wouldn't want on you. You could also have a physical energy block where, for a variety of reasons, whether it was chakra based or other based, you've got something that's closed too tightly in other parts of your energy body that are open too wide. So they need to be balanced out so that everything's getting fed an even amount.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard a bit about, well, attachments and your soul like fragmenting, or did you use the word splintering?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just find that all very fascinating. But so I've gone to a shaman a couple times, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, the people that I've gone to are pretty fantastic. It's a huge amount of therapy in a very short period of time. It's amazing what some of this wild energetic work can do for you. Um, so speaking of energy, we talked a little bit before. Can you describe different types of light energy that people hold within their
Mm-hmm.
bodies?
So there's two main types of energy from my path. One we call the light, kind of your light, happy, good energy you want to be full of. That's called Sammy light or Sammy energy. And then the opposite of that would be called Pucha energy. So that's the darker, or as my shamans would call it, if it was translated into English, less good. It's the less good
Okay.
energy because
Okay.
I kind of like, I'll bring this up too. It's kind of interesting. The shamans I study with speak Quechua. They still speak the native language that was going around when they lived alongside the Inca. And then they fled when the Spanish conquistadors came. But in their language, they don't have negative words. So they literally, the only thing they could say about something was, we would say, if I was to say, define Hucha energy, we would probably translate it as evil, bad, dark, all this energy. The only thing they can say is less good because they don't have any negative words.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'd like everybody to kind of reframe that in their mind too, of, every word you speak, everything you think about yourself has
power behind
an impression on your energy body. Yeah, exactly. And it changes your energy body being. It sends it out into the universe. So imagine that instead of having the bombardment of, all this negative stuff we get from, who knows, commercials, everything else telling you you're not good enough in every single way, that you didn't have that in your head. That wasn't even the words for it, that it had to be tamped down so much to even try to bring it there because you weren't speaking that out into the universe. I really wish we could redo all of our languages in this way. I think it would be so powerful on our energy bodies if we didn't speak anything negative or say anything negative out there, how things would change.
You had mentioned different sources of power, 7 different sources of power. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So in my lineage, there's 7 different sources of power that a shaman can tap into. You may use one of these, you may use all of them, and depending upon the situation. So the first one is what we call fire, which we use by the sun. So we have sun up above us, we connect in with that energy. That energy obviously can cause fire. So one thing that shamans look at is we look at fire as being transformational, kind of like if you think about the phoenix rising from the flames of the ashes. So when we burn, we sometimes create what we call a despacho. And this is a medicine bundle where we're we can do them for a variety of different situations. So it may be for abundance, it could be for healing, it could be, sometimes we do these type of ceremonies when we're having a life transition. So just say we want to bring good intentions to a marriage or a birth or a new job or a new business or things like that. So we'll create a bundle that we're going to burn with that energy. So that would be something we would be using fire for. And as the fire consumes the items in the bundle, it sends all of those wishes and requests upwards and releases all of that good energy that was put into it when creating it. Okay. And then we also connect in with the earth energy, which we call Pachamama. So we believe the Mother Earth supports us in all of the things that we do. We walk on her. She takes care of all of the creations on the earth. So we tap very much in to the Mother Earth. And one great thing that Mother Earth does for us that I use a lot is I call her the great recycler. So if we are taking Hucha energy off of somebody, if there is something negative, send it down to the earth, not to be punished, not to be whatever. I'm sending it to be retransformed. So it's an upcycling program. Okay, send it through the earth energy, let it be cleansed, retransmuted, and transformed into something more positive than it was. So Mother Earth can be used for many things. The wind and the air, we also can call upon for different things. Sometimes you need to bring in different weather. Sometimes you need it to wipe away things. Sometimes we need to get messages that come through the air. So it's a variety of different ways that we use that. Same kind of way we connect in with the water energy, and waters can take things away. Another way that we can also use that is sometimes we'll do a ceremony. If we were doing a removal ceremony with somebody, it's possible that we can put it into a similar but different type of ceremonial bundle. And that one we would release into flowing water because we want it to be taken away very quickly if we're doing a heavy removal. Okay. So that's another way that we can use water in that. We also connect in with animals, plants, and stones. So these would be our power animals. So a lot of people have heard the term maybe power animal, wondering if they have a few or not.
Or spirit animal, is that the same?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Same type of thing. So we help people connect with those. We also use our own as being a shaman. They help us when we're doing our healing. You don't hear about it as much, but you also have power or spirit plants too that you can work with. So some people actually work with different types of plants in the same way that they can work with their power animals or their spirit animals. And then my favorite, Huyas is what we call them in Quechua, but they're crystals. So I do a lot of crystal healing and I work very heavily with the crystals. So
Okay.
crystals in their essence, since they have like a specific coarse lattice structure, they hold energy very well. And whatever that stone is programmed or vibrating to, just like the theory of entrainment, if you kind of take yourself back to maybe, I don't know, fifth grade or so, when you learned about that theory where the two pendulum clocks are put in the same room that's set to a different time and
Right.
they give off little bits of energy. So after a while, they start swinging in unison together.
Mhm.
And it's that same theory with crystals. So if you place the crystals on your body and they're at one level and maybe you're at a lesser level, and we're trying to bring your energy body up by affecting it by using crystals within it. So there's many different ways to use crystals in healing, but that's just one of them.
With all these different methods, what would you say your niche is? What makes you different from other shamans
Mm-hmm.
or other
I
practitioners
would,
in like wellness centers? Yeah.
right. I would say I have a very diverse background. So that really helps me with all of my intuitive skills and knowledge that I can just basically tap into my guides. And I'm like, okay, what should we do here? Let my guides talk to your guides and see which of the modalities I know, where should I go, and what should I do? And my guides are really good at, even if I'm just say starting a basic protocol, my guides will, oh, you need to go here now. You need to release this. You need to do this. So I feel like I'm very much guided in what I do and how I can best help people. And it usually ends up with a great result. So after, 22 years, I just trust it and I go with it because it usually turns out great.
So within your work, what do you feel has the most positive impact? What do you typically turn to? Well, I know you just said that a lot of it's intuitive and it varies quite a bit, but um, I'd love to hear some success stories or
Mm-hmm.
something that creates the most positive impact for your clients.
And I have a very diverse client base. So I have people who maybe on the surface look great, but are having a lot of problems deep down.
Right.
And I have other people that are coming to me because I'm sort of the end of the line and they're coming to me with very serious health problems that they haven't been able to find help with in traditional means. So I would say a lot of my clients who are just looking for improving their lives, they have either deep-seated traumas from the past and other things that have just kept them stuck. Like it's just been this repeating wound. They have old childhood wounds, things like that. And I'm good at being able to go in there and talk to their inner child and figure out what do they need to stop acting out? What do we need to do to heal this? What kind of ceremony do we need to do to fix this? So I work in that direction. In addition to my shamanic work, I'm also a hypnotist as well. So sometimes
Oh,
depending
okay.
upon where people are stuck and how comfortable they are in shamanism versus hypnosis and other
Hmm.
things. Sometimes I work with them in hypnosis to help let go of those emotional blocks. So I'm really good at figuring out where all of the repetitive negative stuff and the repeating of patterns. These people are like, I keep doing the same thing again. I keep getting
Right.
stuck, or I keep on not being able to do that. And I use all my abilities to be able to do that in a quote unquote more traditional sense. However, I am who I am in any
Right.
situation. So I rely heavily on my intuition. I try to help people
Right.
in every stage that they're in, both with physical pain as well as mental, emotional pain. And I think there's a lot more of that that's going on that people, talk about on the regular. Like they
Hmm.
know they're not really happy deep
Right.
down and they're not like living their passion. And sometimes they need somebody to go in and just help them unstick their energy body and kind of depending upon what information I get when I work on them from my guides and their guides, can help give them some good information to help them break free of where they are and just get to where they want to go. Because a lot of times we put ourselves in our own prisons. We've
Yes.
decided we can only operate within this, or people will only accept me within this, but maybe that's really not even true. Maybe they'll break out. I always say I worked at extremely conservative, companies and stuff over the years. And even when I was just starting to do yoga, I would get invited back there They're like, well, we know you're not weird, so we'll have you come in
Okay.
and do yoga or do meditation or talk about mindfulness or things, things like that. So it's, people are starting to open up and
Right.
their views are starting to change, but sometimes you just kind of need to open the door a crack to walk through that change and just get some information that may help you make the next big leap.
That's what I think is so cool about all of this energy work, because, and even including like hypnosis, you can root down and find stuff that's hidden from the person you're working on, hidden
Mm-hmm.
from themselves. And you release that or unlock it, rattle it
Mm-hmm.
up a little bit, and
Yes.
huge shifts, like really interesting subconscious shifts, um, can take place that will completely
Mm-hmm.
change the direction, the road that
Yeah.
you're walking down. Yeah, it really is pretty fascinating. I was telling someone the other day that, medicine largely works with chemical, chemical within your body, and that has its
Mm-hmm.
place. But we're also very much electrical. And modern medicine generally doesn't work with a whole lot of electrical. I mean, there are some components to it, but
Mm-hmm.
not so much. And so when you get into electrical or energetic, you can make changes that most people are just not familiar with making. And to me, that's what's so powerful about this type of work. So I
Definitely.
just think it's fantastic. Um, well, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to hit on that maybe we missed?
I would just say that, there's a lot of reasons beyond like, oh, I feel like I need to go to like a doctor kind of thing that people come to shamanism for. And sometimes it is that feeling of just feeling disconnected, or they're feeling lost, or they feel like they've just kind of lost something along the way and they don't even know what it is. Like it's hard to put a finger on it, so to speak, to like what is wrong. I just know, like I've had people come in this, I know something is off, something is wrong, something is not aligned. I don't know what it is. I don't have the words to describe it, but I know I don't feel like myself. So I help a lot of people get out from those type of things, as well as major or minor medical issues or big energetic problems as well. But I would just ask people to start tapping into even just how they're feeling on a daily basis, like waking up and taking a little check in, like, how am I feeling as a human today? So I think that many people are realizing the path we've been on isn't the healthy path and isn't the path we wish to go forward with, and we want to model for future generations. So there's many different reasons why people come to me.
Kelly, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
It's been great. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.